Welcome in, everyone, to the State 48 podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Matthews, bringing you all things AZ. And today on the show, we have a VIP joining us. Not only is he, let me get this, the founder of Flux Cap Marketing, VP Marketing Sales of OGeez, brands, but also a State 48 Foundation board member. So that means you're in it. You're in the club. We were just talking about jackets, things to make it official. Tattoo, maybe?
I'm in for all.
We have tattoo events for our foundation.
Yeah, I say let's do it.
I don't know how many foundation tattoos are out there.
We're going to create one. Okay?
You got to start somewhere.
We got to start somewhere. But we are so excited to have you, get to know you more and all the things that you do. And you guys, he's the first one to bring welcome gifts or what's it called? Friendship gifts?
Friendship gifts? Yeah, we can say that.
Friendship gifts here. He wants me to get high before we start this show. And so if you hear me giggling, laughing, chuckling, you know I took some of these OGeez.
We're going to know.
They're delicious, by the way. I did not take them before the show. I just wanted to freak out the audience a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's going to get weird.
Should have let it go on a little longer.
You what?
Should have let it go on a little longer.
Sorry. I'm working on my comedy delivery timing.
It's fine. We got time.
We got time. But first, we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
And it's just to get to know you a little better. So answer these questions truthfully, honestly, all the things.
Okay.
Ready? Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I wanted to be...
When I was younger, I wanted to be actually a cartoonist. I used to love to draw. I was obsessed with all things just cartoons and advertising. As I got a little bit older, still young, I think I switched those gears to architect, still drawing, but I think it was more about looking cool, carrying on that tube of blueprints.
Right.
Just seemed to
so
be
official.
appealing. But yeah, wanted to be a cartoonist.
That's so cool. Do you still partake in any artwork?
Not as much as I used to, but I do try to dabble when there's some time. It's
Okay.
very stress relieving.
Well, we are hiring.
That
right?
it is.
Okay.
We are
not
no longer.
hiring
We're no longer
anymore.
hiring.
Oh, well.
But if something opens up,
Just
I
keep me
know
posted.
someone.
Yeah.
Kyle, that position has been filled. We really do appreciate
That's
your
unfortunate.
interest. We will keep your resume on file.
But how
as a
cool would
case.
that to
That's
do
great.
like a cartoonist flair design? I'm thinking here in real time, but
It's been a while, so it may be rusty.
like-
So yeah, give me some time.
It's fine.
love it. We'll keep you in the back burner just in case we need to call you up.
Perfect.
Something most people do not know about me is
Oh boy. I think going back to the fact that I can kind of draw and
Yeah.
paint.
artistic touch.
I think, I think that's been the reason I've kind of gotten into the field that I'm in is advertising, marketing, anything that's creative tends
Yeah.
to pull my attention.
Love that. Also, let's talk about this baseball background of yours that I thought was so bizarre.
It is.
Mr. New Yorker over here. You're from New York.
Yep.
Love all New York teams except.
I hate the Yankees. I am a diehard Boston Red Sox fan.
That's
Wow.
like the
It's-
exact opposite.
It's what you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Just where I grew up in New York was more upstate. So if you think of like here to Flagstaff,
Okay.
was like New York City to my hometown, which was exactly the same distance to Boston. So
Right.
family members, Red Sox fans, growing up to Fenway, going to ball
Was
games,
that
kind of drew me in.
majority? Was it split where you grew up, or was it majority?
No, it was
Red
pretty split. I think I was probably in the minority.
Sox? I was like, did you get a lot of shit growing up?
Always. I mean,
Who
back
are
then
you?
the Red Sox were
Yeah.
horrible. I mean, they're horrible right now, but
They've had their waves.
I think it was the underdog kind of drew me in, and just getting used to them losing every year until I moved out here, and then they finally won.
That's
which
right.
was great.
That's right.
So yeah, I still get crap to this day of why are you from New York and a Red
Yeah.
Sox fan, but I guess
I
it's
had to
just the way it
reread
is.
that when I was, rereading your survey. I'm like, wait, hang on. Make this make sense
It really
here.
doesn't make sense.
But we welcome you as a D-backs fan. If you hate the Yankees,
If
you're
anybody that's
officially-
playing the Yankees, I'm a diehard of that other team.
Okay.
So yes.
Look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A quote I live by is,
I would say never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. It's a Babe
Staying
Ruth
with
thing.
the
Yankee,
baseball.
actually, which is still weird.
See,
but
he's
also,
all over the place.
Also a
Yeah.
Red Sox. He was originally a
True,
Boston.
true,
so,
true, true.
yeah,
I'll
but
give you
kind of
that.
weird how that works out as well.
You're all over the place.
know.
Love it. Aside from drawing, cartoonist, artwork, my favorite hobby is
I think just hanging out with family. I got a 1-year-old wife, 2 dogs. Any time to kind of unwind and chill out is nice.
Baby on the way.
Baby on the way very soon. So that's going to add another element to my
the non-chill.
Non-chill. I enjoy golf. Try to get out as much as I can. It's not really an unwind because it's more frustrating than it should be. But I think that's why we play, is to maybe get out frustration.
Right.
Suffer.
But suffer
A little
yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's humbling. It keeps you
very,
in check.
Very humbling.
How long have you been here in Arizona for?
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
We welcome you.
Thank you.
You're
yes,
here.
I am.
You're
I
here
am
to stay.
official. Yes.
Yes. Okay, you kind of gave me a little bit of this, but an ideal day for you would be start to finish. Give me the.
Oh man,
what that would look like.
So hard. I feel like every day is completely different. An ideal day.
Ideal.
Really doing nothing would be fantastic, because I feel like every minute is filled with something. Ideal day, I think, is being off kind of the grid, just spending quality time with the family, just chilling.
Yeah.
I think that is definitely ideal.
Sounds ideal for sure. Do you have a favorite destination here in the Valley?
Yeah, I mean, I like to go up north as much as I can. I mean, in the summer, I think everybody does, to escape the heat. Sedona's always great. Flagstaff is great. Enjoy the landscape of Arizona. So even, prior to having a child, is getting out and hiking and kind of seeing everything that Arizona has to offer. And being from the Northeast, it's kind of another planet out here with the landscape. So it was very different. So when I first moved out, this is very weird. I want to explore. I want to see everything that it has to offer. And I think because of that, I've kind of found my favorites. But yeah, typically up north is where I like to
It's
venture.
kind of weird when I'm looking around and I just see a bunch of cacti,
Just
scorpions, encounters,
everything.
all
Yeah,
the things.
it's very different.
You know what I can't stand though? Whenever I'm watching, national game and they're like showing Arizona, they always make us look so like country, western, what's it called? The big ball, the tumbleweed?
Tumbleweed.
Yeah,
Tumbleweed.
I have a whole complex with this scenario.
You can agree.
They'll just be like, "Oh, and we're here from Glendale," and it's clearly like Sedona Mountains in the background, and I'm just like, "This isn't what everything looks like here."
To give credit,
Given
it's really
beautiful.
hard. It's really hard to really like take
Sell
one
Glendale.
that too, but well, I don't want to piss off anyone.
We love you, Glendale. Just
We
saying.
love you. Shout out
I
Glendale.
was just saying, you're not Sedona Mountains, or you're
No.
not Superstition Mountains, which
Yeah.
is always popped up in the back of a
But
Cardinals
we're very
game.
complex. Like we have the city life, we have the desert escape, we have up north the cabin, the snow. So how do you really like?
I think a lot of people don't understand unless they come and see it firsthand. I think outsiders watching a ball game, they're like, "What is Arizona? It's just a desert. It's cactus. Is their city? It's hard."
Right.
Because again, you're right. It's showing a different landscape every time, and it's
where
like,
am I?
I don't know where I'm going. But
So what brought you out to Arizona? Now a true lifer, you're gonna get an Arizona tattoo soon.
I'm right
State
after this.
48, blood in, blood out. Like
Yep.
what made you come here to begin with?
So I went to school for sports management. I was a sport nut. After I got out of wanting to be a cartoonist, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into sports. It's something that I'm passionate about. Went to school for sports management, and the opportunity to come out here, I was the first intern at Phoenix International Raceway.
Oh wow.
20 years ago.
Cool.
So drove out. I'd never been to Arizona. I'd never been really west of the Mississippi. So packed in my car, blindly took a road trip, came out, and I'm still here.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your first impression?
This is very different. I think the way I came in, I drove through Flagstaff first. I think it was in the middle of, it was July 7th when I got here. So it said it was supposed to be like 115 degrees, but I drove in Arizona. I was going through Flagstaff and I rolled down my window. It's like, man, this dry heat is something else. This feels great.
Dry heat.
Then I
that's
got
for
into
sure.
Phoenix and my beat up car was overheating.
Then you died.
I started having second thoughts when it was like that punch in the face of heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I stuck it out.
How long were you there for at Phoenix Raceway?
About 6 months. So I did the internship, and then I kind of stayed on to help with, event race weekend and all the good stuff. But yeah, it was a great experience. I got to really do everything. I would say if there was any other opportunity to take another internship for me at that time, I definitely chose the best one. Everybody there was fantastic. It was a really cool experience.
So you're in the sports realm. What then led you to where you are here today?
So from there, I jumped into the beer side of
Okay.
things.
Well, that makes sense.
So it's, kind of
Hand in
makes
hand.
sense. So I was with Hensley for 6 years. So I did sponsorships and events. For that, got me the taste of consumer product goods and marketing a brand to the consumer, which allowed just the creative side to get out. How do I come up with new ideas to get, X to Y? Then from there, jumped over to 5 Hour Energy as they were just first starting out.
Oh, wow.
I think I was their 11th hire on the field side to kind of help get the word out, which obviously took off. Then from there, went to Kind Healthy Snacks for a little bit, doing the same
Yummy.
thing. And then from there, Red Bull. I was with Red Bull for a little while, running their marketing for, at that time, the desert region, which is Arizona, New Mexico, and Vegas.
Okay.
And then now the wild west of cannabis. I was pulled into that world.
Yes, which is a whole new world.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure through the, expansion of just the cannabis world, kind of the unlocking of that world, if you will. How long has it been now here in Arizona, the law?
It's been a little while now. I'd say
3
it was
years?
medical. It was
Right.
medical for a while. So yeah, about 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, a little over 3 years.
Okay. I remember I walked into the store and I was like, is this allowed? Not that I'm like a big, consumer by any means. Mom, I know you watch it. But I mean, it just felt like, what is this world? There's so much untapped there. Obviously, medically, we can dive into all of that. But what has been the biggest shift for you and now in this world of cannabis?
I mean, the easy answer is it's still federally illegal. So there's a lot of red tape to do things that you're used to doing, right? Different advertising tactics and marketing, and you just can't do it, or you have to come up with unique ways to kind of get around it. So
what does that look like?
I mean, it's gotten better, right? It's slowly getting there, but you're constantly hitting a moving target. So the regulations are changing constantly. What you can say, what you can show on whatever platform, even if it's Instagram. It's whatever you're putting up, sometimes can get flagged. Your whole account can be taken down, like at any given time, because it is still federally legal. So you have to kind of play within the guardrails. Sometimes you try to bang against them as much as you can because it is very competitive. So you want to stay as loud as possible and make a splash, but also know that you have to be kind of limited in some of the things that you do.
What intrigued you to get into this world, knowing that there's a lot of different hurdles too?
I think the challenge of it. I mean, I would have never thought in a million years that I'd be doing anything in cannabis. Traditionally, I was never really a cannabis guy, but I think the trajectory of where the industry was going and the potential and kind of building something from the ground up, or having the opportunity to, put your stamp onto something and help, an industry grow or brands grow within the industry that was the biggest draw.
Yeah. Where do you see it projecting? I mean, it feels like such an unknown world for me. I don't know, Nick, how for you?
It's not as known of a world as it once was for me, necessarily.
Right.
Paranoia creeps in pretty quickly for me, but I mean, it's just amazing to see. I mean, I know I have some buddies who own a company, and knowing you as well, Kyle, and just kind of seeing anybody that's been in the industry has just only seen growth and continued success at an astronomical rate, it seems.
Yeah, and I think it'll continue to go. I think it's still evolving. It's still the Wild West. It's still the unknown. It's you're always looking to do the next thing and move just the industry as a whole forward. But I think there's still things that obviously need to get ironed out and details that need to get buttoned up. But that's the fun part. It's you're along for that ride no matter what, and it's. I think the sky's the limit. I do feel like eventually it will be federally legal. But again, I think that it's still in its infancy stage. There's still a lot of people that really don't know a lot about cannabis. When you're in the industry, it's a lot of like that insider baseball talk about different strains and different effects, and a lot of people are like, is that CBD? Is that THC?
That's my question.
Yeah.
Let's break that down for us knowledgeable, I guess, in this area of expertise, because I do know CBD and the benefits. I love CBD. And then how you can have a product that's only is HTC.
THC. So that's the psychoactive
there you go.
piece. So
yes,
when you can get CBD anywhere
right
now, pretty much, you know? So I think the THC side of things, that's the effects. That's what you're going to get, the feeling of whatever that may be that you're going for. Primarily there. Now there's other elements in cannabinoids of the plant that give you different feelings, right? There's CBN, there's CPG, there's CBG, there's a bunch of different things that you can put together that give you a certain effect. Wow. And I think that's where the industry is getting very, very technical, that we can start pinpointing kind of what is your need. This is a product that we have to help kind of fulfill that, which is the exciting part. That's the science thing. That's the stuff that's way over my head, and there's way smarter people out there that are figuring that all out. But I'm fascinated by how technical the industry is.
I mean, the bags that you gave me here, let's look them over. This one's for
Sleep
edition. Love this idea. So CBN enhanced. So that's a whole different ball game compared to.
Does it have psychoactive properties as well?
CBN by itself does not.
Gotcha.
But
if it has THC.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got it. Okay, so hang on. And then you have over here the minis, which you like to take the mini, you said.
When I partake, the minis are more my speed.
So this is indica. I always know indica couch.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
See? You're getting it.
I'm learning here. So this one is low dose. Okay, so yeah, this is probably what I would be taking.
3 milligrams a piece. So it's
that
nice
sounds my
for
jam. Yeah.
Yes. Not over. Like I said before, it's easier to go up than go backwards.
That's a quote.
So
That's a
for scientific purposes, I have tested out the minis in the last few weeks, and they are low dose, very nice.
Scientific purposes.
Yeah, only scientific purposes for the pod. For the pod, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. And then this one is Happy Balance.
Yep, and that's where we'll have your CBD in there. So CBD, THC. So not as much of a psychoactive. Nice little in the middle type feeling.
Okay. Who would this be best for, would you say?
I would say, like, for me, if I was going to go more than the mini, I would probably lean towards that. I would say that's targeted more towards the novice, somebody that's maybe trying to get into cannabis or gummies for the first time, where it's less of a punch, but more it's more of a, hey, I want to relax, I want to just chill out without too much of an effect.
This would probably be my jam. I'm over here like, this is great. I'm going to try it. This is wonderful. Not all at once.
Yes, please don't do that.
Yeah, no, not going to do that. But the flavors, that's a big thing. I remember trying your brand specifically, and the flavors, like the strawberries and cream, I can get behind that. I mean, just the packaging too is amazing. So do you have a lot to do with the overall brand?
Yeah, so we got a pretty small crew, right? Okay. And it's it started in Tucson in 2018. Actually, Brand Noonan, the CEO, took over the company in 2021. He actually was a speaker at the speaker series. Yes. And from there, it's been really changing the landscape of the brand to be more open to all consumers. Like going back to, there's so many consumers that don't know or they're unsure. So it's being inviting. It's being a brand. It's like, hey, cannabis isn't scary.
Right.
It's
that's
here.
Me. Like growing up and being like, oh my God.
There's still a stigma, and it's still there. So it's, how do you go about marketing a product to kind of bust the stigma, where it's like, okay, that's not scary. Or there's education behind it that it's like, maybe I do, or I could use something like that. It's not very pushy. I would say our brand isn't really cannabis forward. It's more of a consumer product good. So I guess my goal is to always have, like, you could have the Coca-Colas of the world right next to the OGeez, or right next to a beer company, where it's not a cannabis brand, it's just a brand. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the goal for the industry as a whole. It's just kind of aligning everybody, so it's not kind of out of left field. Just you're in your own bubble. Mm-hmm. We want to hopefully bust that bubble and have it just be part of the rest of the party.
Do you know the backstory of the name?
I don't actually. It's kind of the unknown. It's the secret sauce. I don't think anybody's going to let anybody know that ever.
Really?
Yeah, I think Brand may be the only one that knows.
He's going to have to come and sit in this chair.
I think so.
And get it out of him.
Yep. I agree.
One of the things too that, like, it's interesting hearing you talk about, just trying to be the brand for everybody and whatnot. And like I said, I'm removed from the cannabis world in general. When I was smoking cannabis, it wasn't legal in any form for the most part. And it was just kind of whatever someone gave you scenario, to the point that, you know, I think it got so strong because, like you're talking about, you can focus in on specific parts of it, and you can focus in on, you know, making this part better or that part better. That, like, it also makes all of that stronger for some people that really want it too. And like, if I don't know that that's a way stronger thing, that's where I was just like, oh, I'm out on this in general. I can't hang. I'm used to the crappy weed from somebody's dad that was like in his top drawer. Like, that's where I was essentially, you know. So to hear that, yes, things are getting better for the people that need to get better, you know, but that there's still things in companies like you guys that allow for the person that's interested on the non-scary level, or the I'm not going to be on the floor like a lizard trying to crawl my way to life. Yeah,
for sure. I think the canna curious, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to have them have a negative experience and never go back. So it's just talking through and educating and saying, hopefully you're leading them into the right direction where they have a positive experience where they continue to come back. Because I'm sure a lot of people understand you can have a really bad experience where you're like, I'm never touching this stuff again.
Right.
So
real quick, it's crazy that people also have a really bad first maybe experience with alcohol, but go right back like it's not a big deal.
Yes.
Very true.
We're talking about cannabis though.
We are. We're not diving into that. But then the opposite of me being the goody two shoes growing up, like, drugs are illegal. No, you know, I think my first gummy was, gosh, I'm like, we should put a bubble. I think I was 25 with my fiance, now husband, and I was like, you know, I just want to try. Like, I've made it this far, you know, let's just see what this is all about. And we had a pancake and gummy night because, you know, they told me to be ready with the snacks.
Yeah.
Come ready with the nice, and I want pancakes, I want all the goods there. And it was, again, I did like 5, maybe 3. I was still scared. And it was a great night. I was laughing. We watched Titanic, and it was a great experience. However, one of my friends had an opposite experience, and, you know, maybe it was something like within that. I don't even know where the gummies were from, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That was still in the streets back then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you never know.
Which is very dangerous, kids. Be
Yes.
careful. OGeez is packaged perfectly and safe and all the things. I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that. But, you know, you can have a completely different experience where maybe, and I'm getting really scientific and technical here, but CBD doesn't match with the, you know, other formulation or whatever for that specific person, right?
Everybody's different, right? So even a low dose can affect somebody. It's just
Completely differently.
Be responsible,
Yeah.
you know, dose low, go
Dose slow.
slow.
Wait, say that again?
It's dose low and go slow. We actually put it on our packaging.
Yes.
So it's,
Do you?
yeah,
That's good. Dose slow, go slow.
I can't scream that enough because you can have a really bad experience, and we don't want to be part of those first
no.
horrible stories.
No, dose slow. I love that. That's going to be the title of this podcast.
I love it. I love it.
When I think from the marketing standpoint and how much leverage you guys truly have, and I'm sure you're that person that goes to sleep at night and you're thinking of all these like ideas. Yeah, you're not. You need the sleepy time one.
Yeah.
To turn it off.
It just doesn't turn off. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, there's so many different, you know, niches within the spectrum of like who you can target, right? And so people who are looking for a different experience, or they're at different, you know, age ranges or whatever. There's so many different people you can target. How do you just compartmentalize it all and then have one, you know, messaging, I guess you can say, as a brand?
It's tough. We talk about that all the time, right? Of like that core demo for a gummy and an edible, it tends to range a little bit older from that demo. But I think the more that you dive deeper into each offering that we have, that's where you can start pinpointing kind of who tends to purchase a certain SKU more than others. And I think it's a constant evolution of where we are right now. But I think soon you'll be able to tell like exactly like, okay, this person definitely for the most part chooses this SKU over another one. Right. And it's just, it's content king, how we're talking about it, how we're educating it. And then how we're targeting that messaging will get more evolved as we go.
I feel like this industry in itself is one that you have to be able to pivot a lot in entrepreneurship, business owning, being a leader, all of that. You have to have that skill set. But I feel like in this one specifically, you do have to be able to really go with the ever-changing, door of what this industry even looks like day to day. So how do you manage that as the VP of marketing and sales?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think it's always trying to stay ahead and doing things different. I think going back to kind of just cannabis in general and marketing is it's easy to get caught in that bubble, like I talked about before. I think for us specifically, I don't like to do things that everybody else is doing. So, and we're in an industry that is so new. Let's break out of the bubble. I think there's a lot better chance to make noise and shake things up while kind of busting out of that, and changing up kind of the status quo of what a cannabis marketing company needs to do or a cannabis brand needs to do. So for us specifically, it's we're partnering with obviously groups like State 48 and doing more traditional events that potentially you hadn't seen cannabis in before. It's like we want to be the first. So how do we bust on that door and how do we pave the way for other brands to come in, right, in the future to kind of line that up where it's just easier and it's more of a conversation and it gives us the platform to educate as many people as possible, if that answers your question.
No, yeah. I was going to say, because it's such a new space, there's not really a blueprint or someone that's done it or necessarily the way that you guys want to run things, because you obviously are, just creatives at the same time trying to market your brand in a different way. In what ways do you feel like you've had your stamp on that?
I think there's a couple different ways. I think from sampling, right? I think for us, we have an advantage of being a gummy, right? It's, you don't smoke it, you can eat it. So we have our non-med gummies. So it's just the candy. There's nothing in it.
I remember I took that at an event and I was like, oh wait, does this have anything?
Yeah. So it's,
but it was a good way of tasting and getting the flavor down.
It's like, it's like if it's an energy drink or if it's any other thing, it's like, yes, you can hand it out and you can drink it and enjoy it and get the effects of it. Cannabis is a little bit different. You can't hand out a gummy with effects in it and say, okay, what do you think? You have that quick exchange. So I think with the non-meds, you can give them an experience of the taste and the feel for those that maybe don't have any clue of what a cannabis gummy is all about. With us, we lean on our flavor and the texture and everything. Is like people ask us to sell them non-medicated as just candy because they're that good. But I think taking that to the next step of like, how do we drive the purchase? Because there's limited places that you can purchase medicated cannabis. So we've come up with, it's called a token program. So we have our street team that's your kind of traditional CPG brand of, sampling products out, and we sample our non-meds and then we give a token for those that show interest. If that kind of curious, if you're interested in trying OGeez, take the token, you scan it, and you can redeem it at a partner dispensary to get a complimentary bag. So that's our way to drive kind of that purchase where we don't have the opportunity to hand out a bunch of samples to get people to try it on that spot. So it's one other step because of just regulations, but it's shown success for us where people aren't used to seeing a cannabis company in the same light as they've seen, say the Wings team with Red Bull or Monster or wherever, where you're constantly seeing them at different events throwing their products out.
As far as being able to, push your product in different locations, do you guys have hopes of a dispensary of your own, or is it better in the sense right now?
Yeah, I think for us, and I think it's just, that's a whole nother game, right? Getting into the retail side of things, it's based on licensing and each state's completely different. I won't bore you with all of those details, but I think for us as a brand, we wholesale to dispensaries to sell our products. So our plan with that is, I would say, not so much to open up retail, but to get in as many doors as we can. With that, we have expansion plans for new states coming up. So we're kind of taking this brand in Arizona, and now we're going to hopefully bring it out to a lot more people in different states and in different audiences to kind of do what we started here and bring it to new markets, but more of a wholesale side.
What has been the just response that because I feel like you guys are boots on the ground. When I go to events, specifically obviously partnered with State 48, you guys are always there. Educating is a huge part of it, just brand awareness. So what has just been the response so far, and especially in the dispensaries that you guys are in?
It's very positive. It's funny because there's a lot of people you interact with that you would never think in a million years would be a cannabis user or a gummy user that come up and tell you a story about, I love this, I love your OGeez, blah, 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 because it's helped me this, or it's helped me do this, or it's just, I would never even have, I'm thinking of, I'm gonna have a conversation about just cannabis in general, of just education. And now they're educating me on their process with a gummy or with cannabis. So I think people are getting more comfortable having the conversation. But I think people are more open to having it be a part of their lives, which is showing how far the industry has come in kind of a short period of time.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it's like you are doing things like going to events, being in the community, partnering with someone like State 48 for brand awareness and all of that. How has that helped you in terms of the partnership with State 48 and how you guys align?
I think it's perception's great, right? I think if as a quality brand aligning with other quality brands, it's power numbers. So I think the more that we can align a brand that typically, or I guess from an industry that typically may be kind of shunned or feel like you're still kind of stigmatized and, oh, should you be here or should I be doing this? The more that we can align our brands with brands that people see every day and it's part of their lives every day, helps us and it helps give us the audience that we're trying to get to kind of pave the way. So like we're super appreciative to all of our partners that allow us to do that outside of the cannabis space. And I think both sides are seeing the benefits, right? Because it brings in a new audience on both sides of things. But it ultimately allows us to just educate people on who we are as a brand, what our goals are, what we're looking to do in the future, and kind of whether that's allowing them to participate right away or in the future. We're just kind of making it kind of that inviting kind of experience.
In what ways do you feel like you've just kind of grown in this experience? Because we talk about pivoting a lot, just being, having the creative mindset to break out of the norms or the stigmas and all of that. How do you feel like you've personally grown from this journey?
I have a lot more gray hair from this industry, but in a good way. I think it's, like I said, it's always changing. You're always trying to adapt and you're always trying to find kind of the new thing with an influx of competitors coming in at all times. Like as it gets more kind of open and people are jumping in to get in the space, it just makes the job that much harder. So even if you are climbing up and you're towards the top, you got to kind of keep the pressure on and keep the pedal down to make sure that you can kind of maintain. But with any other industry or company, right, you got to think outside the box. You have to try to tap into audiences that potentially maybe haven't heard of you yet, and just do things that stick, that resonate, whether that's content, events, flavor, the product. I mean, that's important, right? How it tastes at the end of the day that's what's going to get somebody to come back and the experience that they had with it. So it's kind of all of the above, but it's every day's different.
Every day. More gray hairs.
More gray hair.
More sleepy time gummies.
Yes, a lot more.
And you being a father too, so you have a newborn coming, a father, just managing all of the things. Like, how do you just balance it all in your position? That's highly demanding, I'm sure, in a lot of ways.
I live and die by the calendar, and it's like
that's
I feel like
man right there.
It's by the minute. I feel like at this day is like, what time slot do I have open? And it's getting more and more condensed. It's just trying to stay organized where I can. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I'm the most organized person. I try to be. But if it gets off the rails, I'm screwed with everything that's going on.
That is like a love language. I need a calendar on my phone. I need to look at it. I have my planner to write it all out, or else I don't know where to be, honestly. And when you're in partnership with someone too, and I'm like, I got my husband on the calendar. I'm like, you need to look at the calendar. Nick, you're like dying right now.
I talked about this last week very briefly, but not on the air, about like my Apple Watch. It's the only reason I actually like my Apple Watch is because like it helps me keep track of my calendar, and it buzzes on my wrist if my phone isn't near that, like I have this thing coming up. And I made fun of Mike for a long time about being on a calendar so much. Turns out it's pretty helpful.
It sucks you in.
You literally can't manage all the things.
No, I can't remember anything.
Sometimes I close my eyes. If I forget what I need to do next, legit, I'll be at my computer and I'm like, I have a moment, I think of something, I'm like, hang on, what did I just think about? I have to close my eyes.
A little reset.
I'll do a little reset and be like, oh yes, I have to do this. But otherwise, if I don't have my calendar, I don't know where to be half the time.
Same.
Plus throw in the kids.
Yeah.
Once they start the sports and all the things.
Yes.
Yeah, get ready.
A lot more gray hair, a lot less time. So I'm mentally preparing
And
for
a lot more sleepy time gummies.
Yes.
Can you tell I'm excited about the sleepy time gummy?
I'm excited for you.
ready. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be able to sleep.
Dad, Mom won't wake up. She seems to be pretty out of it. She's breathing still, but
She seems very relaxed.
She's very she's smiling while
Smiling in her
she's
sleep.
sleeping. How is that even possible?
she beat the 5-minute smile record by 55
I've been
minutes.
smiling a lot today per our exercise this morning. All the smiles. For you and just your journey here in Arizona, like what do you see our forecast? I know it's so hard to even imagine, but OGeez as a brand, where do you see this headed?
Man, world domination, right?
Yes.
I think that's the answer everybody wants to hear. I think for just not only the brand but the industry is just having it more readily available, right? I think it's for OGeez, we want to be sold everywhere that it's possible to be sold. And then as that grows, I think it opens up as it becomes more federally legal, more sponsorship opportunities, more alignment with partners. Maybe there's, in the sports world, obviously is starting to warm up to it, the idea a little bit. There's still a lot of gray area there.
That market, tapping into that because they're so highly regulated on what they consume. And I mean, it could be an energy drink that is flagged and it can derail an athlete. I mean, I've seen it plenty of times, but gosh, that would be a world to tap. Do you forecast that actually coming into to play?
I don't know when. I would say probably sooner than later. I mean, the leagues themselves are opening up a little bit more to the players. But I think from an advertising side, that's where it's a little bit of a gray area. They're trying to figure some things out because each state is so different. So how do you kind of play that field right now? Because it's not, when it's federal, it's easy. It's nationally open to everybody. Right now, when it's state by state, what we do here could be completely against the law in another state. So there's still a little bit of stuff that needs to be kind of ironed out. But for the most part, I think we're on the path to start diving into that.
Wow.
How many states are you guys in?
We're in currently just Arizona.
Just Arizona,
yeah,
okay.
but we'll be looking to go a little bit more east.
But you have to do specific things in each state, correct?
Every state's completely different.
Yeah.
Some are similar, but the way you kind of have to go into it, it's like you're starting from scratch in a way. Yeah.
As soon as you feel like you get like the demo from Arizona, you have to but that's part of expansion. Scaling.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah. Wow. That's like a whole new world if you could tap into. I mean, how would they even regulate it, I guess? Because every team has their own personal rules too.
Yeah.
Everyone's governed in their own way. So that's a really challenging, but would be a completely new breakthrough for cannabis in so many ways.
For sure.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
There you go.
Mine as well. Okay, there's a t-shirt design. Okay, speaking of t-shirt designs, we have a lot of collaborations with you. What else? You guys have gotten shirts through us as well for your own personal branding.
Oh yeah.
And all of that.
I mean, it's fun, right? You guys are, it's the lifestyle brand of Arizona. So when I talk about collaborating with great brands, you guys were first to pop on the map. So I think with us, it's aligning with other cool local companies that kind of puts us on the map in a way.
Yeah.
But also helps tell the story of the State 48 brand to potentially a new audience as well. So we love working with you guys. It's great. The collaborations are always fantastic. The designs are great. And
we do have to make that shirt with the quote. What is it? Dose down.
Dose low, go slow.
Dose slow, go slow. That is a new shirt.
Very interested in that shirt.
Okay.
Let's do it.
We have two artists here. I'm just here making it happen, moving the pieces along. One last question as far as sponsoring goes. Do you deal with that and do you find challenges with it?
Oh, yeah.
He's like more gray hairs.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's getting easier.
Okay.
The industry is a little bit more well received. So the phone, instead of the phone calls going one way, they're starting to now
Was that
also.
Was that in the beginning a lot of that?
In the beginning it was, this event's coming up. We'd really love to be a part of it. And it's like, because of the nature of the industry, unfortunately, we can't do that right now. Now it's more, hey, we really want you guys to be a part of this, which is fun. It's fun to see that over kind of the short time that I've been in cannabis that it's leaning that way.
It's leaning that way. Were you the first to approach State 48, or was it vice versa?
I think I reached out first because I wanted to do a shirt with you guys.
We're like, come on, all is welcome. We love everyone.
You guys are very open. Yes.
Well, I can't wait for the shirt design to drop. You
Yeah.
heard it here first. I'm always trying to get collabs live on air with our guests, but we're so appreciative of not only what you do here in Arizona, obviously, for the awareness and all the education, but here at State 48 too in the foundation. You're such a key core member of all that we do. So we thank you for your time.
Thank
you. We'll see you tonight.
See you tonight.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.